Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to a beautiful morning in Prince Albert. And it's voting week in our province of Saskatchewan, and the polls are now open. You can go vote any day now until Saturday. And in this election, if you vote in the advanced polls prior to election day, you can vote at any of the polling stations in your constituency. Election Saskatchewan is making every effort to make it as convenient as possible for everyone to have access to a polling station so that everyone can vote. And I would say that everyone should take the opportunity to vote. We are so fortunate to live in a place, Canada and a province like Saskatchewan, where we get to freely choose our government each and every 4 years. And we will be reminded of this privilege this past June as we celebrated 80 years since D-Day, which is when this privilege was fought for by our forefathers. So I would encourage anyone and everyone to take the time to go out and vote sometime between now and Saturday. Today we're outside the Alfred Jenkins Fieldhouse in Prince Albert, which is one of the polling stations as well for Prince Albert Northcote. And so Alana would have the opportunity to go in and vote here at the conclusion of our press conference. We are here and joined today by our three Prince Albert area candidates. We have Alana Ross for Prince Albert Northcote. We have Kevin Cassoon for Prince Albert Carleton, as well as Eric Schmaltz, who is our Saskatchewan Party candidate for the Saskatchewan Rivers constituency. The Alfred Jenkins Fieldhouse behind us here is one of the places that you will be able to go vote in Prince Albert Northcote today. So why should you go in there and vote for Alana after if you live in that constituency? Well, we started this campaign discussing choices. And I think the choice is very much more clear today than it was even 3 weeks ago. The Saskatchewan Party has a plan to make life more affordable for Saskatchewan families, for students, for seniors, for homeowners, and for everyone that resides in this province by reducing your taxes. The Saskatchewan Party is making every effort to leave more money in your pocket for you and your family to spend. You contrast that with the choice, which is the NDP, who want to take more money out of your pocket so that they can spend it. In fact, almost 3/4 of the Saskatchewan Party commitments made during this campaign are tax reductions or tax credits, which means that each and every Saskatchewan resident will have more of your own money in your own pocket. The NDP's multi-billion-dollar uncosted promises are all about increasing government spending. The Saskatchewan Party wants to grow the economy. The NDP Party wants to grow government. You have a choice to make between the Saskatchewan Party with a platform that is affordable and is fully costed, is reasonable and is achievable, or the NDP, who have a $3 billion hole in their platform and they're not going to tell you how they're going to pay for it because they don't intend on it. They're going to ask Saskatchewan people to pay for it. The NDP will raise taxes, or they will cancel much needed projects, infrastructure projects, just like the Victoria Hospital here behind me. In Prince Albert, it's not the NDP who have ever built a hospital. In fact, their record is quite the opposite, as they closed the Holy Family Hospital a number of years ago. So if you're going to vote and you live here in the community of Prince Albert, take a look at the cranes behind me that are building a new and expanded Victoria Hospital. And you have a choice to make. You can keep those cranes up and continue to have the opportunity to access a new and improved Victoria Hospital in this community. Or you can see those cranes come down and projects just like that canceled across this province under the NDP. You have a choice between the NDP, who will take us back to a time of decline, loss, and closure, as that is their record and it is their plan. Or you can choose the Saskatchewan Party that will keep our economy strong and our future bright for all of those that live here today and those that will live here tomorrow, that next generation, our children. In order to make that happen, we need strong Saskatchewan Party MLAs to serve you in the legislature in a Saskatchewan Party government. MLAs like Alana, like Kevin, and like Eric. Your vote very much matters. Vote early, and don't be a vote splitter, and vote for the Saskatchewan Party. Thank you. And these folks beside me, they can answer any questions if you have them as well. Yeah. I'm good.
Can we get a response to the findings of the Commissioner of Conflict of Interest investigation into Gary Grewal
Yeah, I'd say we accept the findings. There's no recommendations that are made. This is an individual that's a private citizen now, is not running for our party. So we would accept them.
It's up to the legislature to decide on the punishment. So what do you think?
Well, we're running to be a part of that legislature, and likely a governing party in that legislature is our intent, and that's what we're asking Saskatchewan people to support in the plan that we have put forward. The fact of the matter is there were not recommendations by the conflict of interest commissioner, but I would say this more broadly moving forward. When it comes to being in compliance with the conflict of interest laws, you need to be. And if you find yourself at any point in time serving in the legislature and you are having a conversation with the conflict of interest commissioner and you find yourself that you're not in compliance with those laws, that you take his recommendations and get yourself so that you are in compliance. And if you want to serve in a Saskatchewan Party caucus, that'll be the requirement.
So will you make any kind of punishment if you are in the legislature?
Listen, I'm not going to comment on on what the legislature may or may not do. What I will comment is the expectation of a Saskatchewan Party caucus is going to be that that you are in compliance with the conflict of interest laws.
Scott, there's been several allegations throughout the campaign here. Some by the NDP, Mr. Harrison, current conflict of interest commissioner yesterday. Any thoughts? Is this hurting the campaign at all, do you feel? I mean, and if reelected, what can you do to maybe decrease these kinds of complaints?
Well, we need to decrease, the rhetoric that we see, and when we have seen, some of those allegations. I have been very careful and very specific not to comment on individuals throughout this campaign. Individuals that, I quite admire for putting their name forward to run for public office. And if you look as recently as some of the incidents that have happened last night at one of our campaign offices in Regina, we are seeing things happen in this campaign that are really unprecedented and I would say unacceptable in a Saskatchewan community and certainly in a Saskatchewan campaign. So we all need to just remember that we're accountable for not only what comes out of our mouth, but for our actions, whether it's during a campaign or not. And I would encourage everyone to do so.
Last month, the government of Saskatchewan announced that a new francophone school will be built here.
Yeah, not far away here.
And so, do we have a specific date or deadline?
Yeah, as soon as possible. We've been working with the city to find a location, and it's actually, I think the location is very close to where we're standing here right now. And so, as soon as possible, just like the other 28 schools that we're building across the province that are in that process. This is a sign of a growing, vibrant province. The fact that we need to continue to build schools, build hospitals, and this is part of the very choice in this election. A party that has a $3 billion uncosted hole in their platform isn't going to be able to make those kinds of investments in Saskatchewan families and Saskatchewan communities like a Francois School right here in Prince Albert, versus a party that very much has put forward a modest platform that keeps more money in families' pockets so that they can spend it, and a plan that is going to continue to invest in schools, going to invest in healthcare and hospitals and all of the folks that are offering the services and the education in both of those facilities. So yeah, it's an exciting time to be in Prince Albert from a public investment perspective with the Francois School that will be built here, the hospital behind me, but also the private sector investments that have been attracted here as well in the forestry industry in partnership with a number of Indigenous communities. So certainly an exciting time for our province and an exciting time for Prince Albert, and we would ask the people of Prince Albert to keep that excitement going by electing Alana and Kevin and Eric standing behind me.
So there's no specific date then?
As soon as possible would be the date. There's a number of things that we work through, whether it be in the construction of a hospital, on the needs, the size, what the new facility is going to look like, and then there's a planning process that goes through, and then we start construction. And so we've been working with the school division, but also the community on the location, and I think we're standing very close to where that will be built. And it will, from the province's perspective, we'll endeavor to build it as soon as possible, like we do all of the other 28 schools that are in process. An important investment for so many reasons. Yeah.
In our newsroom, we just noticed an abundance, I would say, of NDP pressers, local candidates are fanning out across the community. Seems like they're out almost every day
Well, I'll turn it over to each of the candidates here in at the conclusion of a very short remark that I will have. Is we've been busy as candidates, not only out on the doorsteps talking to Saskatchewan people, but this week with voting starting 10 minutes ago, I've been busy out talking to those very same people to come to the Alfred Jenkins Centre or one of the other advanced polls that we have so that they can vote. Cast their ballot for a brighter future for this city of Prince Albert by electing Alana, Kevin, or Eric, or cast their ballot wherever they might live to ensure that we have a brighter future in the Saskatchewan Party government. But if any of you have comments, feel free.
Sure.
Make what you've been up to the last 2 or 3 weeks.
So in response to the question, I want to say that we've primarily been focused on the grassroots, doorstep, farm gate, field, talking to the people in their homes, in their communities. We haven't had a lot of time to be doing a lot of pressers or broad-based media events. So what we've focused on primarily is, again, being on people's doorsteps in their communities, understanding the issues on the ground, knowing what's going on in their communities, where their concerns are, their hopes, what they want to see happen in their community. So that's where my focus, and I know where the focus of my colleagues are. So.
Yes, and to point with what the Premier and Eric has just said, we've been out and about spending time talking to people, getting their perspective on things, going into to meet in our multi-unit dwellings, meeting with people, because that's a very important thing to do. We need to talk to people, find out, if they have any concerns or, how they feel about things. And you don't always get that by having news conferences so we have prioritized that need to be able to reach out to our constituents. It's been a really positive experience. It's something I truly love to do, is getting that perspective from the people I've been privileged to serve for the past 4 years. Thank you.
And especially for me, being a new candidate and a new face in Prince Albert and for the Sask Party, echo what my colleagues have said. I have to hit the doors. I have to let people know who I am. News conferences are great. Obviously, that's why we're here. But for me, it's the personal connection with everybody in my constituency. And that takes way more work than even I thought when I started. But it's been enjoyable. I'm hearing what people need, what they want me to do in the legislature. And that's my job. Thank you. Mr. Premier?
And I'd say just more broadly from the provincial perspective, we've seen a couple of provincial elections where the results have been very close, either in specific ridings, and there's been shifts. And, governments need to do a better job, and I would say parties need to do a better job of listening to people. Maybe not listening to the latest media story, maybe not listening to the loudest advocacy group, but being on the doorstep, being in the community and listening to the parents, listening to the people that you ultimately represent or vying to represent in a campaign in the legislature. And that's precisely the focus that we have taken. For the first 3 weeks of the campaign and even previous to that, now this last week, we were going back and visiting people and asking them to go cast their ballot that they have the privilege and should be honored to have the privilege to do in this province. In doing so, we're averaging over 20,000 doors that we are knocking in this province. We've never seen per day. We've never seen that kind of productivity out of our volunteer Saskatchewan Party teams across this province. And so, I, for one, am very proud to stand by not only Alana and Eric and Kevin, but to stand by my other 60 candidate colleagues across this province because of the work that they and their volunteer teams are doing on the very doorsteps. This is the most grassroots campaign that this party has ever ran, and they're certainly meeting the challenge when it comes to engaging with Saskatchewan people, engaging with the folks in Prince Albert. So thank you to you three. Yeah, so what appears to have happened is our candidate Rahul Singh in Regina Northeast, what appears is there was at least one bullet that was shot into their campaign office. This is unprecedented for our province and unprecedented in a campaign. We've seen this in the U.S. presidential campaign, not in a provincial Saskatchewan election. And so this is where I made my comments earlier about, we all need to just stop, and think about what our words mean, and ensure that we're accountable for what we say and obviously what we do. This builds on, a troubling theme in particular, and not just that riding, but some other ridings, but that riding where they've had over 100, campaign signs that have gone missing and been damaged, and, really, bringing things to a political rhetoric level, and now we'll allow the Regina City Police and the RCMP to do their work, a level of criminality in what appears to be a gunshot that has been fired at their campaign office overnight. This is just not the Saskatchewan way. This is not what we see in our province. I was shocked to see it in a presidential election south of the border, let alone now in our Saskatchewan provincial election. That being said, I just talked to Raul, our candidate in Regina Northeast. He's on the doors this morning, asking people to go out and exercise the privilege and the right they have to vote, and to vote for a brighter future. And so in no way is this going to intimidate Raul or his team in Regina Northeast, or I would say our Saskatchewan Party team across the province. This will strengthen our resolve to be on those doorsteps, listening to Saskatchewan people, and asking their support to enact our plan of continuing to strengthen our Saskatchewan economy so that we can build a brighter future for all that are here today and our children that will hopefully live here tomorrow. And so an unprecedented time, an unacceptable act, and we trust that the law enforcement agencies will conduct their investigation in this. But certainly a time for each of us to pause and look at our words and our actions and ensure that this is not the future of Saskatchewan. We see this in the presidential race, but this is south of the border, but this is not something that we want to in any way see in Saskatchewan. So it's really unnerving and troubling. Thank you, everybody.